Okay. Well, thanks for joining me for the first of what I hope is many of these tutorials, sort of behind-the-scenes conversations. This is meant to be a conversation, so I hope to get some of your questions. What we've found is in our line of work here at DMVSTREAM.COM, which is a part of a bigger company called Synthesis Multimedia Productions, is that educating people on what we do and how we do it is often important to drum up more business, to create a network, to build relationships, and to help people understand exactly who we are and how we do the work. So, I thought coming off of a successful broadcast recently, a high school football broadcast at Gonzaga College High School in Washington, D.C. this past Saturday, where we broadcast the first ever live sporting event for the Washington Post Sports Department to their Facebook Live page, that I would give a behind-the-scenes look, a tutorial of sorts of how we do the work, so that people can get a good understanding of who we are and perhaps start to grow our network and our relationships. So, as you can see, there is a screen behind me on your screen. That's our website, DMVSTREAM.com. DMVSTREAM.com is a site dedicated to streaming live sports in the DMV. That stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. You can see rotating on that website is a bunch of information. If you go to DMVSTREAM.com, you can see all sorts of behind-the-scenes videos, tutorials, and more, similar to what I'm talking about today, but really some more behind-the-scenes imagery that will really help you see who we are and what we do. So, to get down to brass tacks here, so we, in terms of producing the first ever live broadcast for Washington Post Sports, we went out to Gonzaga College High School. We parked our 12-foot trailer. We brought out a crew of about 15 people, and we set up our truck and broadcast live to the web. Now, that sounds quite straightforward and simple, but there's a lot of nuances that go into doing something like this that I'd love to get the chance to tell you about. So, first, what I'd like to do is give you a look at a portion of the broadcast, our open, so to speak, so that you can see exactly what it looked like, at least in the very beginning part, and then we can do a little bit more. We'll take some questions. We'll talk a little bit more about how we did it and what the game plan is for moving forward. So let me click you on over to that. I'll be right back.
You guys are winners.
Deshaun Hand, wow. Darian Anderson gets the dish, takes a dribble, and Jonathan Allen. You'll be seeing Justin Anderson with the alley-oop, and Stephon Diggs Jenkins with the last-second shot. Oh my God! With the shooting. Remember the rebound? Victor Oladipo.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the nation's capital. We have a real treat for you in high school football. Two of the top teams in the Washington, D.C. area, number 7, Gonzaga, playing host to number 11, the Good Counsel Falcons, a big-time matchup in the city and also in the WCAC. Welcome to Buchanan Field, everybody. So glad you could be part of our broadcast here on the Washington Post Sports Facebook page, brought to you by DMVStream.com. My name is Tony Lamarzi. I'm alongside Emery Hunt and Nick Eilerson. There are a lot of good matchups, a lot of good breakdowns in this game, but more than anything, Emery, it's emotional here in the stadium.
And it's a great day for football, man. It's a little windy outside. It's not hot. It's not cold. If you're a running back, if you're anybody out here, you won't get tired today. It should be a great day for football.
Yeah, I'm feeling we're going to see a lot on the ground today. Definitely the wind gusts are picking up.
Okay, so I wanted to chime in here as we go through the broadcast and kind of explain a couple of things. As you can see on our screen here, there's Tony Lamarzi, Emery Hunt, and Nick Eilerson. This is our booth. This is our talent in the booth. What we just did here now in this clip, Tony, our play-by-play guy, he just shot us back to the studio. So now we're doing a take from the studio, which was pre-recorded by our quarterback expert, Michael Niebrick, a former All-Met Player of the Year, who is now giving us this insight about the two quarterbacks. So this is a pre-taped thing. You can see now we're showing Michael in studio. This was a pre-taped deal, and so now you can see essentially that this is exactly what we were able to offer the people at home, was this behind-the-scenes look at these two quarterbacks. These are it's sort of as ESPN does. They go to these live studio feeds at halftime, pregame, and postgame. What we did in order to mimic that was we pre-taped it in studio a couple of days before. We had our guy shoot to that, and then we were able to just bring this to you essentially as if it were us going back to the studio. And you can see us using our technology in this pre-tape to roll it back, continue to play it forward, and so that's sort of this Quarterbacks Academy thing that we do that really brings you the insight. So here, this is a former quarterback talking about quarterbacks, so we thought that was relevant. All right, so now we are starting to get into our graphics and sort of predisposed material, right? This is stuff that was offered to us. These are insight and information offered to us, by our talent. So we turned it into graphics before we ever got there. You see the image behind the graphics was a pre-recorded image. So now our director is overlaying this information, and showing the people at home this graphic, so it helps them understand the game. It helps them understand what they're about to see. So this is sort of typical of live sporting events in their what are called opens. So our talent now is talking about that. I'll raise their audio up so you can hear them.
Let's talk about some of the individuals
now.
That's some of the things that were written on the whiteboard. What about some guys to look for these Falcons?
Yeah, Joshua Pascal is an outstanding player, 6'4", 255, a four-star athlete. You see him doing a great job on both ends of defense at stopping the run and also getting after the quarterback. And when you look at what he is missing on the opposite side, it's Ayinde Ely, the 6'5", 205-pound, three-star Maryland commit. He hasn't really played a lot this year, but when you look at when they're expecting him to get on the field, which is probably around playoff time, they're expecting big things from him. Maryland commit. He hasn't really played a lot this year.
All right, so you're seeing highlights now. You're seeing us sort of, bringing you the stories of the game. Who are these players? What's important about them. You see the graphics on the bottom of your screen. These are all things that our director can do through some of the technology that we have in our truck called TriCaster. So, these are layers that we're overlaying, and so yet here it is, another graphic, more keys to the game. So it sort of takes this, our opens, they take these progressive steps, right? It's as you would on any broadcast that you see. It's, visiting team, their keys to the game, then their players to watch. Then it's the home team, their keys to the game, and then you'll see, players to watch. I'll step aside for just a moment and let you take in the broadcast.
With turnovers, so they can't do that today. They need to help themselves. That means they can't have too many penalties like they did against DeMatha. When you play against a good football team like DeMatha or a good Council, you have to really engage and capitalize off your opportunities. You can't shoot yourself in the foot like they did last week.
And how about some of the individuals for the Eagles?
And for the Eagles, well, there's Tyree Randolph coming here. He can, obviously everyone knows about his running ability, but he can catch it too. I mean, he likes to turn big short dumps into big gains. He can also run slants. He can get downfield. So he's a total handful for defenses, despite just being 5'7". Very elusive running back. Had 1,800 plus yards last year, and he's on his way this year too.
Max Fisher is the leading receiver and Sam Brown's favorite target.
That's right. Max Fisher, great hands. He's got big hands. He can really get up and grab it. Great wingspan. He's an NC State commit. great aerial threat, can really stretch the defense. When you've got a guy like Randolph in the backfield, you can't forget about Fisher going downfield.
Now, we already talked a little bit about the quarterback. That's Brown.
That's right. Sam Brown, like I said before, he's very reliable. He's a poised quarterback. He doesn't take too many risks. He's a guy that won't turn the ball over much. He's also got great mechanics. He can really sling it downfield every once in a while. So look for him to make a couple of big throws downfield today.
All right, for more on how these teams are going to prepare, we're going to hear from the coaches. So let's go down to our sideline reporter, Bob Trussett.
Hey everybody, here with Bob Malloy, the head coach of the Good Counsel football squad here at Gonzaga College High School. A lot of WCAC playoff implications.
Okay, so you've seen now our graphics are open, part of our open rather. Now we're in our coaches' interviews. So, you know, these can be difficult to get in pregame. Coaches at the high school level, college level, any level, they don't want to deal with media, even the broadcasters, as they're leading up, right? So we're about to start the game at this point in real time. These are pre-recorded. So we were able to get these coaches to come over about 30 to 45 minutes before the game ever started. They're happy to do it at that point. They don't feel like we are getting in the way. And so when we pre-record them, that gives us a chance also to go back, whether it's a 3 to 4 minute interview, to find really the most relevant information and to clip out that part and then roll that clip that you're seeing here. This is actually what made it to air, that part of the interview. So, you know, now you see we're back in action. We're back on a live shot. Our play-by-play has now bridged us over, and he's thrown it to our sideline reporter. Our sideline reporter now is with the next coach, also a pre-recorded interview. It's not like we're trying to line these guys up right before game time. That's sort of the beauty of broadcast here, and the technology that we're using in our truck. It allows us to go and to get these pieces of content, pre-record them, and then when we go live, we can roll those pieces of content as if we are live. So the whole idea here is keeping the viewer in mind. What do they want to see, and how do we get it so we are not in the way of the coaches and the players as they're starting to, you know, get into their game. How do we get this information? How do we get this content and display it so that the people at home can have a succinct broadcast and we're also not in the way, you know, on site. So now we're getting into our anthem. You know, that concludes the pregame portion of our show. In a moment here, after we get through the anthem, you'll see that we'll go to kickoff. So I'll stop it there, and I'll take us back to our regular setup here on your screen. So that is essentially an open. That's what we do in the very beginning of a broadcast. To me, as a broadcaster, and what I've learned is, in an open, that's where you're going to capture your audience. That is where, you know, an audience is going to decide, okay, you know, is this something worth watching? Do these people know what they're doing? Is this a good broadcast? Do I want to hang with it? Have they told some storylines? What does their broadcast look like? You know, there's a lot of folks out there in the live streaming world, particularly with sports, that, you know, they try their best. They do a good job. Their resources are limited. And so what you get is you get sort of a one camera, bad audio, you know, and so it can be a struggle. The shot's not very good. It's shaky. It's all over the place. And so when people think of live streaming and hear about what we do and who we are, that can often be the connotation and what they associate with our product. And so what we like to show when we go out to a broadcast and are doing a broadcast is, you know, look, this is television for the web. We are doing a 7-camera HD instant replay, live scoring, live graphics, live clocks, 15-person crew, play-by-play color, analysts, sideline reporters, a director, producers, graphics operators, instant replay operators, 4 angles of instant replay. So essentially we're doing television. We're just putting it on the web so you can see it on your mobile device. And so our open, to get back to the point about the open, our open to me is the most important thing because it's at the very beginning, it's at the very top, and similar to a story that somebody might read in the newspaper, this is when you hook your viewer. they're going to make an evaluation on how good is your content based on that open, and if they want to hang with the rest of the broadcast based on how good your open looks. So that's why, other than just good journalism and storytelling, we really like to give a very solid open. So to note, I want to go into a quick video before I step over to the more technical side of things, to give a behind-the-scenes look. Some of you may have seen this video on our website, DMVSTREAM.com, or our Facebook or Twitter page. You can find us there at DMVStream. This video gives a really, really good look behind the scenes of Saturday's broadcast at Gonzaga for our Washington Post Sports Facebook live broadcast, the first ever at the Washington Post. I hope you'll take a look at the video. We'll be back. It's just about a minute and a half long, and we'll talk a little bit more about the technical side of things. Okay, so I think that gives you a good idea of, sort of the technical, the behind the scenes, who we are, how we do it, the crew involved. You see, that's our 12-foot production trailer. Inside of that, we've got, two TriCasters, one for our director, one for our replay operator, and also a graphics guy. And that's where we're getting the stream and sending it out to an audience at home that may be watching the broadcast. So I want to, let's see if I can set this up properly so I can take you guys on a quick journey with me. Give me just a minute, and I want to set this up so I can show you just exactly how we do it through photos. Let's see here. Okay, so all set there, and okay, so let's take a quick ride. I'm going to check the Facebook feed real quick and see if there's any questions. Looks like Reed, how you doing, buddy? Good to hear from you. It says, for producing live streams at events, how do you go about obtaining the necessary upload-download speeds for a quality stream? That is a fantastic question. So let me give you a quick sort of look at what it takes us to do a broadcast. So let's, for example, I've got our G drive here. Let's go to football 2016, Good Counsel at Gonzaga. That's the game we did this year. All right, so for each of these broadcasts that we do about 200 broadcasts a year. There's a folder, okay? And in that folder, a lot of documents that are sent over, it's our talent notes from people that are working on the broadcast. But one of these gets done for every single broadcast. This is called a production plan. And why is that important? Well, you got to have a plan. Without a plan, it's just a wish, right? So each of our broadcasts, we create one of these about 7 days in advance. It tells you when you're supposed to be there, tells you your role, what you're doing, the location, parking, on-site, contact information, what you're doing that day. Here's all of our crew involved and what they're doing. Here's more crew. Okay, so before you ever get there, you know what you're supposed to be doing. In addition to that, some of our pre-game assignments are about getting information from the school so we can make graphics in advance. Here's who's doing what and what the deadlines are so our graphics guy can create these graphics. More information. Here's a technical description of what we're doing that day. Here's a broadcast run and more. So another document that I want to show you guys is more planning. So I want to go back now to another client folder. This was for Lacrosse Sports Network. This is how we did about 15 games for them last year. Let's see, at Gonzaga, same thing, right? Production plan. Here's scout photos. So let's see. Here's the sketch, right? So Reed's question is about how do you get upload and download speed? Well, to answer that question, I'll tell you this. Here's what we do. We go out in advance. We scout the facility. So you're looking now at where we parked our trailer. You're looking now at where each of our cameras was. That is correct. This is a camera on top of the Jesuit Academy behind this facility. Here's where each of our camera operators was during the game. But inside, so here's the unique thing, right, about what we do and how we do it, and at some of these schools. And Reed, I swear I'm answering your question. Inside of this window is the rectory of this Jesuit church school, and inside of that basement of the rectory is an IT closet that has a hardwired Ethernet port. It's actually over here. It's actually this window. So what we did in our scouting was we go out, we find that port, we work with the IT on site, we do a test stream, we'll plug in, we'll make sure we're not firewalled or blocked. We'll do a speedtest.org, or excuse me, speedtest.net. We'll test upload and download speed so that we know before we ever get there on that day that we are going to be able to send out a quality stream with the right speeds, so we can formulate a plan for the right bit rates and all of those things to upload the stream successfully. So we're never just flying by the seat of our pants. We're never just, hey, we'll show up and see what kind of Wi-Fi there is. You're crazy if you're doing anything, on live streaming through Wi-Fi. You should be hardwired at all times. I would not recommend ever doing a live stream without it. So, here's just a few. This is the sketch, right? But, as you can see, if we go back in this folder, when we went out, we took scout photos, right? So this helps me when I come back. Here's the closet that the feed is in. Here's where you can find those ports. Here's the field. As we go through all these images, you can see that we're going out. There's the window that we are going to run right from here. We run the Ethernet cord out of here. So this is all data and information that here's where we park our trailer. Right, we run the feed around this back corner and all the way through here into our trailer. So all those things sound easy, but that's only because we make it look that way. This is something that I like to tell our clients is, this is what sets us apart. Just checking to see if there's any more questions here. But this is what sets us apart, is our willingness and our ability to go out and to do these things in advance to make sure that when we get there, we're actually going to have a live stream. It's going to work. The feed is going to be clear, and we know we've tested it, everything we need to test to make sure that it works. So that's just sort of one part of our process, as we go through our process each time to do a successful live stream. So back to the folder in which we worked in for this game to give you a little bit more insight on the day. So here's some photos of us during the production, and I think these will really help us get through some of the stuff of what happens on game day. So here's our crew. This is Nick Plum. Many of you who know about DMV Stream and Synthesis Multimedia and our company, you know that Nick Plum is a big player for us, and he does a lot of great work, and he was our technical director that day. Here is our crew all surrounding Nick. This is at about noon, before a 2 o'clock tip-off. We're having a small production meeting. We're all touching base. Everybody gets a chance to ask questions. Everybody gets a chance to give some feedback or thoughts. We'll continue to scroll through some of these photos so I can continue to touch on some of our technology and some of our process. So here you see, not a very good shot of it, but this is our booth, our talent booth, right? So there's no press box, so to speak, at Gonzaga. So, our talent needs to be able to see the monitor and what's happening on that monitor so that they can speak to things like, here's what's on the screen. Here's the keys to the game. Here's the graphics that you're seeing at home. Let's speak about those graphics. Here's the instant replay. Let's watch it in slow motion. So the talent at this table is actually seeing what you are seeing at home. Here's one of our camera operators. We have 7 angles of cameras that come into our truck. So this is one of them. We feed that back to the truck. So this is Dalton, one of our camera operators, and he's feeding us imagery. He's on a headset, as you can see, because our director in the truck is actually telling him, okay, camera 2, I'd like for you to get me a shot of the coach. And then you see our director punch to camera 2. A great way for us to communicate. This is Jameson, another one of our camera operators. Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Nice. Let's make fun of Jameson. Funny guy. So, okay, Jameson, that's enough. All right, so here's inside the truck. This is Brenton, who's working on graphics here on a computer that is housing a software application called Live Text. Live Text is something that we create the graphics in. You saw those as I was discussing are open. Those were the graphics that were being overlaid. So Brenton is working those and creating those and sending them across our internal network so that our director, Nick, can overlay those graphics. All right, so he, as you can see here, so Brenton now has pulled up this graphic that you're seeing. This is what the viewers at home are seeing. So Brenton is seeing that here, on this screen. He's seeing exactly what his graphic looks like. Another screen in the truck, just a note that's important for our graphics operator, is the scoreboard. There's clock, down and distance, score. Because during the game, Brenton, on this screen, he is creating the scoreboard. So he's putting in the correct time, he's timing the game, he's scoring the game, he's timeouts, all those that are being shown in the live scoreboard at the bottom of your screen at home. Okay, another good shot of what Brenton sees. So he's actually putting up this lower third of one of our players to watch, Tyree Randolph of Gonzaga. All right, here's Nick. Nick is our director. So this is a good shot of the screen of what he sees. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 camera angles that he is getting from our camera operators out in the field, and an additional 3 more camera angles that we've rigged into our system that he can get to through an external source. We'll get to that in a minute. Here's what he sees in preview. That means you don't see that at home. And in red here in this box, and I'll get to a better shot in a moment, this is what you're seeing at home. This is what he's producing. Nick is on a headset, as you can see here. He is talking to our camera operators out in the field. So he's telling camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. He's telling them what he wants. And they're getting those shots and feeding them back to the truck. And then Nick is taking that shot and putting it in your screen. So it's quite a bit on the shoulders of our technical director. So he's now talking to our graphics operator, telling him what he wants next. Okay, here is some technology. I'm going to take a break for just a moment. I'm going to head over here to our live stream and see what kind of, if we have any questions. I want to make sure I'm not ignoring those questions. Okay, let me get back here then. All right, so look, here is one of our live feeds. Okay, we are able, through our truck, to produce 3 live feeds to the public. So you see here this stream, what's happening in this mini capture. This stream, we're going to send this stream, as you can see, to the Washington Post. This is a great product called the Teradek Video. It allows you to just put in a simple HDMI feed, and then you can encode that directly to the web. In this case, we sent this stream, as you can see the F here, we were able to send this stream to the Washington Post Facebook page. All right, let me see a good shot of that. This is just a, well, that was just a shot of the Post Sports Facebook page. Not a very good picture, but nonetheless, we were testing and making sure that it was actually working. All right, here's our crew, more of them in the truck. Here's our guy in the middle, Sam. Sam's working on instant replay, which he feeds to Nick, so we'll get to that in a minute. But essentially, Nick calls for the replay. Sam has a jog wheel, and he sends the replay to Nick. Okay. Here's our talent at that booth that I was telling you about. Here's their monitor. We set this up for them because, again, there is no press box where we were located. Behind Nick, this is Nick Eilerson. Behind his shoulder here, you can see our production trailer and sort of, you know, the lay of the land. Okay. There's Dalton getting a shot of these 3 guys as they were in the open, and you can see there's that feed, okay, in our TriCaster. All right, here now we're starting to get into some of the game. You know, these guys are taking a photo in pregame, and then, you know, we've got a graphic up. All right. Again, inside of our truck. Just a quick note, you see this microphone here? This microphone is different. Okay, so Nick is on a headset with camera operators, but this microphone in particular, and I'm going to roll back for just a moment, that microphone is going into the headset right here of Tony Lamarzi, who is our play-by-play guy for the day. That gives Nick, our director, the ability to talk to Tony during the broadcast and tell Tony exactly what we're doing next, like, hey, we're going to break, or throw it to commercial. We have a graphic coming up, or here comes the replay, or hey, we got Coach down on the sidelines, let's throw it to our sideline reporter, Bob, so Bob can do the interview. So that allows us to communicate with everybody throughout the broadcast. Okay. Some more shots of TriCaster here and what we're able to do with the TriCaster. Let's see what else we got. Sam here on replay. Here's Bob Trossett down on the sidelines getting his interview. Here's a camera operator feeding that back to the truck. This mic, this audio line, as you can see, is fed back to our truck. So that allows us to take that audio feed separately and sweeten it and manipulate that sound and sweeten it and use it as we like and prefer. All right, and I think that's going to do it for all of our photos. So essentially, I mean, I think that's a really good overview of who we are, what we do, and how we do it. So look, if you have any questions, you know how to reach us, you know how to reach me. You can find us on Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for joining me. Find us at DMVSTREAM.com, and we will see you next time.